All right, starting today, having a seat on our mat. Just having that comfortable seat, whether that's feet out, legs crossed, legs all the way straight out. Let the hands come to wherever's comfortable. That can be in your lap, on the knees, even resting down by the sides. And start to close the eyes. Start to focus on the breath. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Starting to recognize that breath. Taking time to see how it makes us feel just by focusing on it. Feeling it move all the way into the lungs. Filling all those spaces. And then feeling it leave with each exhale. Also taking this time to start to let our days go. Start to bring ourselves into our rooms and onto our mats. So just take these few moments right here to start to ground yourself into your mat. Taking a few more deep inhales and exhales. And we'll start to let those hands come down by the sides, let those arms come down. We can continue to keep the eyes closed, or if we'd like to start to open them just slightly here, it's your choice. But on the inhale, we're going to lift those arms up. As we exhale, turn those palms away, drop those arms down. Moving with our breath here. Inhale, bring the arms up. And exhale, drop them down. Inhale the arms up. And exhaling down. Inhale up. And exhale down. Inhale your arms up. And on this exhale, we're going to take the left arm, let it come down to the mat, and just fold over that left side. Feel the stretch all the way down that right side body, opening all those spaces in the ribs. Take those deep breaths, sending that breath into those spaces. And on our next inhale, we're going to lift that arm back up, bring ourselves back center. On that exhale, drop that right arm down, fold over that right side. Again, stretch all down that left side body, opening those lungs, opening those ribs, and sending that breath right into all those spaces. And on our next inhale, bringing ourselves back up, bringing that arm up. On that next exhale, we're going to take those arms, drop them down to that left side. Going into that twist, feeling it all down the back. Trying to bring the gaze over that back shoulder only as far as is comfortable. Allowing ourselves to still warm up a little bit here. Take those deep breaths. And on our next inhale, bringing those arms back up, bringing ourselves up. On that exhale, twisting to that opposite side, letting those arms come down. Stay in that twist while I admit someone in. Taking those deep breaths here. Again, only bringing that gaze as far over that shoulder as is comfortable right now. And on that next inhale, lifting those arms back up, bringing ourselves back forward. On that exhale, turn those palms out, letting those arms come back down. We'll make our way up onto those hands and those knees, however is comfortable to get there. Take a moment here, line those wrists right up under those shoulders, knees under those hips. Feet tops are flat on the floor behind you. And on that inhale, we're going to drop the belly down, bring that gaze up. As we exhale, roll that spine, tuck that chin. Inhale, drop that belly down, bring that gaze up. And exhale, roll that spine, tuck that chin. Inhale, dropping the belly down, bring the gaze up. And exhale, roll that spine, tuck the chin. Moving a couple more times through this. Inhale, dropping the belly down, bring that gaze up. And exhale, roll that spine, tuck that chin. Inhale, dropping down, bring that gaze up. And exhale, roll that spine, tuck that chin. On that next inhale, coming to a neutral spine. We're going to take the big toes together, open up those knees just slightly wider than those hips. Sink the hips down over the heels, slide those arms out, drop that forehead to the mat. And take those deep breaths here. Feeling the stretch all down the shoulders, down to that lower back. And anytime throughout our practice, if you feel to drop into this child's pose, feel free, allowing yourselves to refocus on the breath or to catch it if you've lost it. And take a couple more breaths here. And on that next inhale, bringing ourselves back up onto those hands and those knees. We'll take those knees, bring them in, untuck those toes, walk those hands back under those shoulders. Tuck the toes behind us and lift those hips up towards the sky. Come into our down dog. Take a moment here to pedal those feet out, lifting one heel, dropping the other. Taking our time, moving back and forth. Wake up the backs of those legs. Maybe holding one side a little bit and then switching to the other side, allowing each side to get a nice good stretch. And then let those legs come into stillness. We'll take a breath here. And on our next inhale, walk those feet up to the hands. Fold ourselves over the legs. Put a little bit of a bend in those knees. Take the hands on the opposite elbow. Let that head hang. Let those shoulders hang. And then slowly rock side to side. And then coming back, center. Let those hands fall back down to the mat. And circle that head. And shake it yes. And shake it no. And then let it just hang. Take those hands on those thighs and slowly start to roll ourselves all the way up. Stacking those vertebrae as we come up. Bring that head up last. Roll those shoulders down the back. Take the hands at the side, opening those palms up nice and wide. Close the eyes here at the top. Take a deep inhale. And exhale it out. Open those eyes back up. On our next inhale, we'll bring those hands up, bringing that gaze up towards those thumbs. Exhale, opening those palms out wide, swan diving ourselves over the legs. Inhale, slide those hands coming halfway. Exhale, fold. On this inhale, step those feet back to that high plank or drop down onto those knees. On the exhale, come all the way onto that mat. Untucking those toes. Inhale, lifting that chest. And exhale down. On that next inhale, we're going to make our way back to our down dog. Taking that breath here. And on that next inhale, walk the feet up to the hands. Folding over the legs. And inhale all the way up. Bringing those arms. Exhaling them down. Inhale the arms up. Gaze going up towards those thumbs. Exhale, open those arms wide. Swan dive over the legs. Inhale, sliding those hands, coming halfway. Exhale, fold. On that next inhale, step those feet back to that high plank or onto those knees. Exhale, come all the way onto that mat. Untucking those toes. Inhale, lifting that chest. Exhale down. Inhale, make our way back to that down dog. Taking that breath here. On that next inhale, walk those feet up to those hands. Folding over the legs. And inhale, coming all the way up. Bring those arms. Exhaling them down. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, opening those palms wide. Swan dive over those legs. Inhale, coming halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back to that high plank or onto those knees. Exhale, coming all the way down. Untucking those toes. Inhale, lifting just that chest. And exhale down. On that next inhale, come back to our down dog. Taking a couple breaths here. Using this down dog to refocus on that breath. Also catching it if we've lost it. Anytime in our down dog, feel free to pedal those feet out if those legs need a little bit extra stretch. We'll take one more breath here. On that next inhale, we're going to lift that right leg with a bend in the knee. As we exhale, shift that foot forward, dropping it between those thumbs. We're going to take that back foot, kind of hop it forward, maybe a foot or so length, and then rotate it so that heel's down onto the ground. Those back toes are kind of pointing off at an angle. Take those hands on that thigh, give ourselves a little help up. Or take the hands on the hips, just make sure they're facing nice and forward. Make sure that front knee's over that ankle. Take the hands down by the sides. Inhale, bring those arms up. So our gaze is nice and forward here. We'll hold this for a couple breaths. Holding for one more breath here. And on our next exhale, we're going to let those arms come down, let them come down to those hips. Take that back foot, rotate it so we're up on those toes, stepping it forward onto the mat. Take those feet about hip distance apart, maybe a little bit wider. Keeping those hands on those hips for now. We're going to sink those hips down like we're going to sit into a chair. So you want to take those fingers and kind of place them on those hips. Give yourself a little push back so those hips are sinking down. And then swing those arms forward so they're right alongside those ears. Gaze is still forward. All that weight's in those heels, light on the toes, tucking those tailbones so we're not arching those backs. Taking a few breaths here. Holding for one more breath. On that nice inhale, popping those legs straight up. Exhale, let those arms come down. We're going to move into a balance on that right leg. So letting that leg be our planted leg here. Let those arms kind of float out, kind of help us a little bit with that balance. So we're going to start to slowly roll up on those left toes. Bring those toes up last. Bring that knee up into the chest. Hold it here to find that balance. We're going to take that left leg, cross it over that right leg. If we can, hook that foot behind the calf, or we can just kind of let that foot hang out. Or if that balance is a little challenged on this side, you can slide that leg down so those toes are just kind of tapping on that mat. Wherever we're at, when we find that balance, we're going to take those arms, bring them straight in front of us with a bend in those elbows. And then take that left arm, cross it underneath that right, rotate those hands so they're facing each other. And then bring those arms up so they're at that nice 90-degree angle so we're not dropping them down onto the chest. And hold here. Taking those deep breaths. Just a couple more breaths. And we'll move right into another balance pose on the same side. So we'll slowly release those arms out. Let them float out to the side. Help that balance. Uncross that leg, bringing that knee into the chest. We're going to kind of put a bend into that knee. Take the left hand, grab a hold of that left ankle, and then start to tilt the upper body forward, bringing that right hand forward, kind of pushing that back foot into that left leg. I can turn sideways for you. So you'll be grabbing that leg and kind of shifting that upper body forward as much as we can. Or we can just stay right here holding that leg, almost like we're doing that quad stretch. But if we push that foot into that hand, kind of tilting ourselves forward. Gaze is forward, that front arm is palm is straight, fingers are straight. Holding here. Couple breaths. And exhale, dropping that foot down. Let those arms come down, shake those legs out. Placing those feet back on the mat. Inhale, bring those arms up, gaze going up towards those thumbs. Exhale, open those palms, swan dive over those legs. Inhale, slide those hands coming halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step those feet back to a down dog. Take a breath here. And then before we go to that other side, we're going to come down onto those knees. Tuck those big toes together. Sink those hips down. Rest that forehead on the mat. And take a couple breaths. If those arms need a little break, you can take them and rest them alongside those legs. Wherever you're at, always using this opportunity to refocus on that breath and recatch it. Taking just a couple more breaths here. And on that next inhale, we're going to come up onto those hands and those knees. Tuck those toes behind us. Lift those hips up towards the sky, coming into that down dog. Taking a couple breaths here. Again, feel free to pedal those feet out if you need to. Help the backs of those legs. Or if you still need to kind of shake that right leg out, feel free. And on that next inhale, we're going to lift that left leg, this time with that bend in the knee. As we exhale, bring that knee forward, drop that foot between those thumbs. Taking that back foot and hopping it forward, that foot or so length. And then rotate it so those back heels are on the mat and those toes are pointing off towards that ankle. Take those hands on that thigh, give ourselves that little hop up. Take the hands on the hips. Make sure they're facing nice and forward. That front knee is over that ankle. Let the hands come down to the side. And inhale, bring those arms up. Having that gaze straight forward. Taking those breaths here. Taking just a couple more breaths. And on that next exhale, letting those arms come down, putting those hands on those hips, taking that back foot, rotating it so we're up on those toes, and then stepping that back foot forward. Taking those feet, kind of toe healing them so they're that hip distance apart. And again, we're going to take those fingers into those hips and start to sink those hips down like we're sitting into that chair. And then swing those arms up alongside those ears. Gaze is forward. Again, tucking those tailbones so we're not arching those backs. And light on those toes, all that weight's in those heels. Taking those deep breaths. Holding it for a couple more breaths here. On that next inhale, pushing those legs up. And exhale those arms down. We're going to move into that balance on that left leg. So again, letting those hands kind of come out to whatever's going to help us get that balance. Starting to roll up on those right toes. Bringing those toes up off the mat. Bringing that knee into that chest. Holding here for just a second to get that balance. And then take that knee, crossing it over that opposite leg. Again, trying to wrap those toes around that calf. We're just going to let that foot hang out. Again, if that balance maybe is a little bit challenged on this side, you can take that foot, slide it down so those toes are just tapping right on that mat. Wherever we're at, when we feel that we have that balance, we're going to take those arms, bringing them in front with that bend in those elbows. And taking that right arm under that left arm, rotating those hands, pushing those palms together. Again, bringing those arms up at that 90 degrees so they're not dropping down on the chest. And holding here for those breaths. Using that breath here to help us balance, allowing us to focus on it. Taking a couple more breaths. And we'll move into that balance on that other, or on the same side, that other balance pose. Trying to go straight into it, so we'll release those hands. Whoa. Let those arms come out to help us with that balance. Bring that leg across. Start to shift that knee back, bringing that foot up, taking a hold of that foot with that right leg. Again, we can stay right here, or you can start to shift that upper body forward, bringing that left arm straight ahead, pushing weight back, or pushing that foot back into that hand behind us. And I'll turn sideways for you so you can see. I can get my balance here. So we're pushing that foot into that hand, tilting that upper body forward, holding here, taking Taking those breaths. Hold it for one more breath here. And then drop that foot down. Shake those legs out, shake those arms out. Let those feet come onto the mat. We'll have the hands come down by the sides, opening those fingers up nice and wide. Close the eyes. Take a deep inhale. And exhale it out. Open those eyes back up. Inhale, bring those arms up. Exhale, swan dive over those legs. And here we'll let ourselves fold over the legs. And letting the head hang, letting the shoulders hang, letting everything relax here. Feel free to shake that head around. Maybe shaking it yes or shaking it no. And then let it hang. Taking hold of that opposite elbow with that opposite hand and rocking side to side. And then coming back center, letting those hands come back down to the mat. And inhale, making our way slowly all the way up. Bring those arms. Exhaling them down. Release the hands down by the side. We're going to take the left foot, step it back nice and long onto the mat so that foot is parallel with the back of our mat. We're going to take that front leg, straighten that knee, and then rotate that foot so it's also parallel. And then take a second here to adjust those feet so they're about in line with each other, those toes. And then once we feel that those toes are nice and lined up, we're going to take those feet, just rotate them so those toes are now pointing off at the ankles of our mats. So we're going to move with our breath here. So when we inhale, we're going to start to bend those knees, bringing, well actually let's bring the arms up first. So inhale, bring those arms up. And then as we exhale, we're going to start to bend those knees, bend those elbows down, just letting those elbows come straight out. And then as we inhale, we're going to push our way back up, straightening those arms. Exhale, coming down, bending those knees. Inhale, straightening those arms. Moving through this a couple more times. Exhale, bending those knees, arms coming down. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, bending down. Inhale up. We'll do it one more time here. So exhale, bending those knees, coming down. And inhale, pushing back up. Take a second here to just rotate those toes so they're now pointing forward. And on an exhale, let ourselves fold down between the legs. Take a couple breaths here. Letting everything hang down. If you want, you can take those hands and kind of turn them so they're facing opposite of the body, so those fingers are pointing out, and kind of walk them between the legs. Give yourself a little bit more stretch down towards the mat. Taking those breaths here. And taking those hands back in front of that face if we've had them behind us. We're going to straighten those elbows and we're going to start to shift the body over to that left leg. So we're putting a bend into that knee and we're walking that upper body over, coming down as far as is comfortable. If we come all the way down, we're going to rotate so we're up on that right heel, and we should feel a stretch all down that inner thigh here. So we can stay here with those fingertips kind of on the mat, so we have a little bit of help with that balance here. Or if we want, we can add that balance challenge here, finding that spot in front of us that's not moving, and slowly starting to lift those fingertips off the mat, playing a little bit here, making sure we have that balance, and then bringing those hands up, placing them right in front of that heart. Holding here for a couple breaths. And if we have those hands up, we'll place them back down onto the mat slowly starting to straighten that knee back up, putting weight back into that opposite foot, letting ourselves come back center. Kind of bend those knees back and forth, kind of like shaking out that leg a little bit here. And then coming back center, letting ourselves hang back between those legs. And if we want to take those hands, walk them between those legs, getting that extra stretch there. Whatever's comfortable. And then taking those hands, placing them back in front of that face, straightening those elbows, moving on to that other side. So starting to walk those hands over to that right side, this time putting that bend into that right knee, letting ourselves come down only to where we start to feel that stretch on that inner thigh. If we're all the way down, we're rotating up onto that left heel. Again, feeling that stretch there. Staying wherever you're at. And here, if you want to add that balance challenge, you can find that spot on the floor that's not moving in front of you. Starting to lift those fingertips up off that mat. Again, playing with the balance here. So if those fingertips just hovering is enough for you, you can stay there. Or you can start to bring those hands up, taking those palms together, placing them in front of the heart. Taking those deep breaths. Holding it for a few more breaths here. And then slowly taking those hands, placing them back on the mat. If we're in that balance, starting to straighten up that right leg, putting weight back into that opposite foot. Again, kind of bending those knees back and forth here. Coming straight center, let ourselves hang here. And then taking those hands in front of the face, starting to walk those hands to the front of our mats, rotating those feet so you're up on those back toes. And then stepping that front foot back, coming into a down dog. Take a moment here, pedal those feet out one last time. And then we'll come down onto those knees. Placing those big toes together, sink those hips down over those heels, slide those hands out, rest that forehead on the mat. Again, if those shoulders or arms need that little bit of a break, feel free to rest them alongside the legs. And take those deep breaths here. And on that next inhale, we're going to come up to those hands and those knees. And make our way to have a seat onto the mat. And then we're going to make our way all the way down onto our mats. Taking those hands, resting them alongside those bodies, kind of so those hands are under those hips, and take those feet and walk them as close to the hips as we can get them. And then on the next inhale, we're going to push those hips up towards the sky. So leaving those hips up here for a couple breaths, trying to keep that gaze straight up and down, so we don't want to twist that neck here. Taking a couple breaths. And on that next exhale, letting those hips come back down. Taking a couple breaths here. We're going to move ourselves into a shoulder stand on this next little thing that we do here. So if we have a yoga block, we can take that and place it under the sacrum and kind of have this as a supported shoulder stand. If we don't have a block and the shoulder stand is a little bit much right now, we can just take those feet and just stick them straight up into the air. So if we want to move into that shoulder stand, we're going to take those feet again, walking them as close to the hips as possible. We're going to push those hips up to the sky just like we did. Take the hands under that lower part of the body and start to lift those legs up. Again, you can stay right here, or you can start to kind of, let's see if I can get into it today. So we're going to take those hands. I might not even be able to get into it tonight, but kind of get the idea. So here, or we can take either leg, kind of play, or I might just have to go this way. Pushing up this way into that shoulder stand. Keeping those legs up straight as we can. Again, we're trying not to move that neck here. So wherever you're at, take those deep breaths. We'll hold it for just a couple more breaths here. And then slowly, wherever we're at, start to bring ourselves back down. Let those legs come all the way down onto the mat. Let the arms come down. And just kind of take a couple breaths here. If you want to shake the legs out, shake the arms out, feel free. And then we'll take the right foot, placing it on the mat, keeping that left leg straight down. We're going to take that right knee up into the chest and take a hold of that right foot with that right hand, bringing that foot up, bringing that knee up into that armpit area. You can take the left hand, lay it on that left leg. So it's almost like we're doing a lunge onto the ceiling. So we're flexing that front right foot, keeping that knee over that ankle, flexing those left toes up, so almost as if that floor is right down there. And taking those deep breaths here. Hold it for a couple more breaths. And then slowly let that leg come back down onto the mat. Again, give that leg a shake. And then we'll take that left leg, placing that foot on the mat. Bringing that knee into that chest. Taking hold of that foot with that left hand, not straightening that leg out, but putting that bend in that knee. So again, it's almost like we're doing that lunge straight up on the ceiling. So that left foot's flexed, knees over that ankle, and that right toes are flexed. So it's almost like those toes are pointing right or putting right on the ceiling. You can take the right hand, place it onto that right leg if that helps a little bit. And taking those deep breaths. Feeling the stretch all in that left hip area. Holding it for just a couple more breaths here. And then releasing that left leg down onto the mat. And give that leg that nice little wiggle. And take both feet, bring them up onto the mat. Take them on the long edges of that mat. Let those arms come off to the side and just let those legs drop side to side. Taking our time here. Maybe one side needs to be held down a little bit longer. Moving slowly back and forth. And then we'll bring those legs back up. Walk those feet back into the center of the mat. And then take those feet together, walk them over to that right side, shifting those hips over. Bring those knees up into the chest. And on an exhale, let those legs fall off to that left side. Taking those deep breaths here. And we'll slowly start to lift up that top leg, follow it by the bottom. Take those feet, place them back onto the mat, and then walk those feet over to that left side, shifting those hips over. Bring those knees up into the chest, and then on an exhale, let those knees fall down to that right side. And take those deep breaths here. We'll slowly start to bring that top leg up, followed by that bottom. Take those feet, place them back down onto the mat. Place those feet center, shifting those hips over, straightening those legs. We're going to take the hands Good. And place them behind the head so those elbows are laying down onto the mat off to the side. We're going to take the head, neck, and shoulders, lift them up off the mat, and then shift them over to that left side of the mat. And then take the left leg, slowly slide it over to that left side. And then bring that right leg, shifting it over to that left side also. So we're kind of in a banana shape here. So we should feel a stretch all the way down the right side of the body. If we need to add a little bit extra, you can take that right ankle, place it right on top of that left leg, or just setting it right next to that left leg. Take a few breaths here. And then we'll slowly take that right leg, sliding it back center. Shift that left leg over. Lift that head, neck, shoulders up off the mat, coming back center, resting it back down for just a breath. And then lifting it all back up, shifting over to that right side. And then taking that right leg, moving it over to the right side of that mat. And then taking that left leg again, bringing it alongside that right leg. Feeling the stretch all down the left side of the body. Or taking that left ankle, stacking it on top of that right leg. And taking those deep breaths here. And we'll take that left foot if it's crossed over that leg, uncrossing it, letting it come back center. Shifting that right foot over, lift that head, neck, shoulders up, shift ourselves back center. Take those hands out from under that head, take them up overhead, and doing one final stretch here, stretching those arms all the way up, stretching those legs all the way down. Full body stretch, just like we're waking up in the morning. And then let it all fall down onto the mat. Let those legs come to wherever's comfortable. Let those arms come down alongside the body. Start to close the eyes. Start to refocus on the breath. Feeling that breath move all the way into the body. Filling all the spaces in the lungs. And then moving all the way down to those fingertips and toe tips. And then feeling it leave the body with each exhale. Allowing ourselves to take this time to start to clear our minds of any thoughts we might have. Release any tension or stresses that we might be holding on to. Just watching them all go away with each exhale. Allowing ourselves to sink deeper and deeper into our mats. these next few minutes are just for you, your time to not have to worry about anything, to not have to be anything, to just allow yourself to be here on your mats and in your rooms. We'll start to bring a little life back into the body by wiggling the fingers and toes. Start to roll the wrists and ankles. Rock your head from side to side. Begin to deepen your inhale and exhales. When you feel ready, slowly take one foot, place it on the mat, and follow it by the other foot. Slowly bringing one knee to the chest, followed by the other, taking hold of the legs and rocking side to side. And when you feel ready, roll onto your right side. With your right side grounded by the earth, leaving your left side open to the sun, the moon, and the stars, and all the gifts the universe has to offer you today. When you feel ready, come up to a comfortable seated position. We'll take the hands in front of the heart, close the eyes one last time, take a deep inhale, and exhale it out. Thank you for sharing your practice with me this evening, and I hope that you have a great rest of your night. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.